Welcome everyone to Sportsbet Daily at Oddsmarket.com. Alfred Dunhill Links played over 3 courses in Scotland starts this week, so we'll be with Craig Edwards very soon. Esports goes to New York. Bit of a difference, time difference, culture difference. We'll go with Adam Boothe and he'll give us the latest, and he's got in-depth betting. But first of all, the Rugby World Cup started in Japan. So Rafa, let's go over to Russ Yersh and let's give us his thoughts.
2 points is a concern for Italy. However, Italy did score 7 tries. Now, if Italy can improve on their defence against Canada, Canada are one of the weaker teams in the World Cup. So it's not often that Italy will win 2 games on the spin, but they will beat Canada. And I feel because the spread is 20 points and it's even money, 2.0, Italy minus 20 points to beat Canada with Betway. That's our tip for this one. Italy must improve defensively because they have flair players. And as they scored 7 tries against Namibia, I think they can get plenty of tries against Canada. Canada, they're just not competitive. They played Scotland, Ireland recently in World Cup warm-ups. And again, they're getting beat handsomely. So if Italy can come out and show their flair, show their skill, the confidence will be quite high because they scored 47 points. So I think Italy can cover the spread here. I think they'll enjoy playing against Canada. They've already won 1 game. They're going to win another game. So that's our tip, is Italy minus 20 points at Betway, even money to beat Canada. Good luck, and we'll be back with more tips in the coming days.
Thanks, Russ. So Italy to cover is the World Cup tip in Japan. Now, as I said, we've got the Alfred Dunhill Links. Very unique tournament. Played over 3 courses. 1 on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then it all comes to a head at St Andrews in the old course. Well, golf, I need my partner, Craig Edwards. Craig, how are you, sir?
Evening, Flash. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I quite like this this format because the wind and the rain normally comes in, and if you get the luck of the draw of playing like a King's Barn on a nice still day, you're 2 or 3 shots ahead of the field.
Absolutely. And Saturday looks the only day that's a little bit benign. So they've got a test on this week, so you want players that are link specialists more than ever this week. Some years when they've had really good weather up there, it takes the link specialists out of the equation a bit because the courses are set up easier than normal for the amateurs. So nice to see that we're going to have some challenging weather for our tips this week, definitely.
Okay, well, you mentioned tips. This is how this is going to work. You're going to fire through them. I'm going to hope that Rafa's on the ball. He has been. He's on top of his game. So you fire away with your first bet.
Okay, right, let's have a look. First bet, Lucas Herbert, Australian, top 10 here last year on debut. It's a queer tournament, like you say, Flash. You need to get the putter hot sometimes if you've got a benign day. Some of the courses play easy, but I'm not sure they're going to this year. We tipped him a couple of weeks ago in Germany, and he played respectively, just outside the top 20. So top rest of the world, 30-1 across the board. All the bookmakers look to sporting each way bet in what is quite a weak market at the top. So he could finish in the top 10 and you could win the market. Then I've got a similar bet on Ross Fisher in top Great Britain and Ireland. Now, Ross Fisher, you like him, Flash, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
And he's really long, and wasn't surprised to see him pick up the car last week for the Albatross. And he's got 3 second place finishes here. And not a lot else, but he's been going for, 15 years, and it shows he can manage it. I would guess he's feeling a bit pucker this week with bagging the car last week. And again, 40-1, top Great Britain and Ireland. He doesn't have to win the tournament, and we can win the bet. So each way, both bets are each way. I like Ross Fisher because he'll either go out, he'll either go big and finish high, or he'll be out with the washing. So That's Ross Fisher. Then a real Dunhill Links specialist, Joachim Lagergren. Now, he's had 2 4th place finishes, a 12th place finish. He won last year on the Rocco-Sicilian coast, which is a links course. He is a links specialist. Put a little mention in for the guy he beat last year, Julian Gurrier. He's coming back. I didn't put him in my article, but he's worthwhile just looking down the board at as well. But Lagergren, I like in top 30 with Paddy Power as a safe bet. But you could go each way at 100 to 1 if you want to. It's only been just over a year since he won. But we're going to go top 30 at 4, at the odds of 4 for Joachim Lagergren. Then we're going to go for an old link specialist, Padraig Harrington, twice a winner, 2002, 2006 here. Obviously, he's forgotten more about links than most of the young lads know, probably. And he's been playing quite well the last few weeks. And would you believe, since 2006, he's had 7 top 40 finishes. He's not really been in contention that much, but a top 40 finish this year is 2.88 with Paddy Power. So I would encourage anyone to take that. That has the look of a good banker to me. Made the cut last week. He's building up his sort of level of fitness. He started the year with a wrist injury, so it's taken him a while. Richard Sterney then is the next one in top 20, South African. Again, he's a bit of a specialist for this tournament. 3 times in the top 6, quite a lot of times in the top 40. Top 20, Paddy Power, 17 to 2. He's a solid player, played well the last 2 weeks, just outside the top 20, and we're getting a nice price. And then the player I really like this week is Tapio Pulkkinen, a Finnish player. Last year he was 4th on debut here. And after the 4th, he went on a really good run. He had like 7 top 20 finishes in his next 17 tournaments. And pretty much ended last year well, started this year well. Now, after that, he'd just gone off the boil totally. But last week he showed up at Wentworth for the first time in months, just outside the top 20. So there's 2 bets. You can have a top 20 bet at 10, and you can have a top continental European at 100 to 1 with Paddy Power, and that makes appeal. Nice, small, each way bet, and your meaty bet on the top 20 on Pulkkinen. So those are all in the side markets, Flash.
Yeah, we love that, Craig. And the big thing is, I love the Scandinavians or the Nordics. When they play in this, they're always strong in the team competition of Johnny Walker. They're always thereabouts, and they give you great value. I'm going to ask you for your outrights. I've only got one, and it's going to be along your theme, but I'm loving them at the moment because that's just pure value from ball strikers. Especially if the wing gets up, you need someone who's got that ball flight, who's going to hit it low and let it run. And Richard Sterney certainly comes into that category with Herbert, Fisher and Lagergren. Give me your outrights, please, Craig.
Right, well, my first outright is a guy you mentioned in Germany a couple of weeks ago, and really unlucky, hit the post. Picked up some place money then. He's been superb all season. He won the Made in Denmark, then he won the Scottish Open before the British Open. So he's going for the Scottish double this year. He's going back to Scotland this week, and he's had, in the last 4 times in Scotland, in this event, he's not been out the top 14. So he had a solid week at Wentworth last week, and no reason not to bet him. We've got the weather's not going to mean that, it means really that the link specialist, it should suit them, and he's perfect. Then we're going to go for the new Open champion, Shane Lowry. Well, everyone knows he can play links, and he's obviously partied after winning the Open, and there was quite an outpour in Ireland all them years without an Open championship, and then he wins. And he's just got back on the horse. And last week he started slowly but finished strongly. Couple of top 6 finishes here. He likes the links. I like to see the weather's getting bad, because if the weather gets bad, that will suit Lowry and take it away from a putting contest. And again, anything above 20 to 1, he's a good bet each way. And then we're going to go for 2 continental Europeans in the outright market. Marcus Kinhult, Scandinavian. He won the British Masters at Hillside in Southport earlier in the year. So, well, we know he likes links because he won the Lytham Trophy as an amateur. And he really is a link specialist. Played just outside the top 20 last week. Just outside the top 20 in Pebble Beach at the US Open. I think if he gets in the van, he's a lad that will win. So at 80 to 1, you've got to have a small each way play on him. And then finally, the Italian Andre Pavon, who has already won twice pretty much in this last year. This year's BMW, last year's Czech Masters. And again, top 10 on debut last year. He's been playing well nearly every week. And if he gets close to the van, it keeps him interested. 66 to 1, nice each way bet again.
Yeah, I like that Marcus Kinhult, because when he actually got up into the van for the first time, he did not budge. He did not blink, and he was like, come on, no one's expecting me to win. I'm just going to take this. This is my opportunity. Well, my one selection that's going to fit right into your selections like a glove is Alex Noren. Around the 40 to 50 to 1 mark, ball striker, keeps the ball low, fader and streaky putter. If his putter's not working, the same as any of the others, then you can forget it. But at 40 to 50 to 1, I think each way, first 8 to 10, then he'll give us a massive run. I like them, Craig. I don't think you're going to be far away, and I think maybe 2 or 3 are definitely going to cop for you.
I hope so, Flash. And like you say, Noren is just continuing that theme. And he's a guy that wins. He gets up there, he can get the job done. So I like that as well, Flash.
Cheers, Craig. Well, look forward to speaking to you again soon. Good luck with your snooker as well. And let's hope that we bring the bacon home come Sunday afternoon.
That's right, Flash. Let's hope we do, pal.
Cheers, Craig. You take care.
And you. Good night, mate.
Good night, mate. So now, Esports, off to New York. We've been to Moscow. 3 weeks since we've had a major. I'm going to speak to Adam Boothe now. Adam, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Flash. Oh, do we have video of me?
Sorry?
Do we have video of... Oh, there I am. Hello.
Oh, yeah, sorry, it's all about you.
Well, I just feel like they need to cover about half your face up and show somebody a little sharper, that's all.
Yeah, a lot sharper. Especially after the night we had last night. We did our first Monday night football on the NFL live. Got up yesterday morning at 6 o'clock. Got to bed about 10, but the mind wouldn't switch off. But over 10,000 views, so thank you to all of those. So we're off to New York. We've been on the other side of the world. We've got Australis in their favourites. And then my boys' second favourites. Now, is there value? These two are obviously what people are going to expect to meet in the final. Now, with my boys, are they from Holland or are they from America?
The Team Liquid boys are North American. They're Canadian and from the States. I think there's 2 Canadian players. So you can't... a lot of people think of them as Team America, but it's good to remember that there are 2 Canucks in there representing. So they're being called the best North American team to ever play Counter-Strike, and it's hard to debate that given the past 6 months they've had. But as we talked about, they didn't win the major, and that was a huge letdown spot for them to sort of cement their era. And so going into this tournament on home soil, I would like to say there's value on them. It was kind of scary how easily Astralis beat them in Berlin, but I'm shocked to see that Astralis is such a favorite coming in this weekend.
Okay, so we've got 8 teams. 4 of these teams were quarter-finalists in the last big one. What about the pressure on these front 2?
I don't think... I think there'll be a bit of pressure on Liquid to sort of at least get to the final here. I think it's unfortunate that they came up against Astralis in the quarterfinals, given that they were the slight favorites against Astralis to win the major. So I would say there's pressure on them to be in the grand finals, more so than Astralis. Other than that, though, I don't think these top two are going to be feeling the sort of. I mean, there's a beautiful rivalry that's developed between Liquid and Astralis for the past year and a half, and we kind of haven't had two mutual number one teams in Counter-Strike for some time. So I don't see either of these teams getting significantly worse. And so for me, it might be a case. I mean, I haven't taken in the outrights, but it might be a case of you kind of just play whoever's the bigger dog on the futures markets, because that's where the value is. I as I said in the article, I didn't actually take Liquid, but between them and NRG, the other North American team, I would say one of them is worth a look for a future.
Okay, well, you were kind enough to send me over all your selections. I've passed them on to the graphics. So this is the way it'll work. You run down, they keep up to speed, and I just listen. Over to you, Adam.
Yeah, so there's the format's actually quite a good one, even though it's only 8 teams. We're seeing best of 3s straight through. Actually, I think the grand final is a best of 5. Let me just double check that. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it's a best of 5. So, the team with the best map pool in that grand final has such a significant advantage. Anyway, we'll start with the opening day matches. We've got ENCE facing G2, and that's the Finnish team versus the French team. ENCE went through a bit of a roster swap. We talked about them before Moscow. They looked okay, I guess. I wouldn't say they underperformed. I wouldn't say they exceeded expectations. I was pleasantly surprised with sort of some of their T sides. We still don't really have a set map pool with them. So why I've taken ENCE money line as the play, because I think overall they'll be better than G2 at this tournament. And I think that even at 1.66 minus 150, there's still value there. G2 has only played 2 matches with their new player Kiyoshima. So for them, for a map pool, I expect Dust 2. Their permaban seems to be Mirage. So we'll probably see either Dust 2 from them. ENCE won't ban Dust 2. And then ENCE will likely pick either Train or we don't. I mean, they could pick something like Inferno as well, but I would like to see them pick Train and sort of test G2's T side there. I've taken the over 26.5 maps for that entire series, simply because when you're working with a new player, which both of these teams are, it's very difficult to have, when you switch to T side, if let's say you went 8-7 in the first half, it's very difficult to put up 8-9 consecutive rounds and without dropping a few to the CT side. So I'm expecting it to be 16-11, 16-12, even though neither team probably is in the best form. And so that was for the ENCE G2 series. Moving on to Liquid versus E United. E United is a North American team that is sort of, they have some talented Pug Star players, and they have for a while. Last week, they took a map off of Liquid, which is kind of incredible because they did it in such dominant fashion. It was Liquid's best map of Overpass, and E United put up like 12 or 13 rounds on the CT side and kind of just ran away with it. I think that was we talked last week or a couple weeks ago about sort of having a LAN hangover, where you return to your house and you don't really perform as well. You recall that. That's sort of what I think Liquid was sort of going through a sort of a down spot after the disappointment of the major, just returning from Europe. So I'm not going to put too much weight in the fact that E United took a map off them. Additionally, E United had a player who benched himself. Actually, if it was for personal reasons or he's not clicking with his teammates, he took himself off the active roster, and so E United has brought in a longtime NA pro Freakazoid to be the stand-in. Again, I think Freakazoid has sort of matured as a player, and he's a bit more of a selfless player than he was in his prime. I think he'll be the type to sort of sacrifice himself, drop guns for his younger brother, who's more talented. But I don't think that would be enough to sort of say E United's going to get double digits against Liquid on several maps here. So I've taken Liquid with the spread on both of the first two maps. Moving on to Astralis versus. Are we good so far?
Oh, you keep going.
Yeah. Okay. We got a Danish derby here, Astralis versus Optic. Astralis, I mean, we've talked about them enough. We know why I've taken them here. They're the number one team. The -1.5 handicap is priced at 1.5, kind of across the board. It's 1.4 at some places. I think that should be about 1.3. Optic, they have some nice pieces. They have an experienced talent. They've got a couple guys that they've brought in that online they've kind of shown some sparks over the last few months. But if Astralis shows up ready to go, like we saw at the major, this isn't going to be close. And Optic, additionally, they have their in-game leader MSL as their sniper. He is steady. He's been doing that for, I guess, most of 2019. But he's not going to, I mean, he shouldn't drop, 30 kills on a map. The last time we saw him really do well against Astralis was at, I think it was the Malmo tournament of 2018. Was it Malmo? Maybe Stockholm? And his old team, North, beat Astralis twice, and he was the MVP of the tournament. He ended up getting kicked from his team a few weeks later. The next sort of 2 teams later, he finds himself on Optic. There's always a bit of a rivalry with these derby teams, just like you find in football. So I expect there to, be full focus. Who's the better Danish team? We know it's Astralis. Optic would have to really play out of their minds here to cover these numbers and even to see it as value. I just don't find it. So Astralis was a straightforward play for me here. And then finally, the interesting one. Well, I mean, they're all interesting, but FaZe Clan. I wrote the article early this morning, and FaZe Clan, they've gone through another series of roster swaps, and it was rumored today that they're closing in on a deal with a former number 1 player in the world, Coldzera, who's Brazilian. And it's interesting because Coldzera has never played for a non-Brazilian roster. Moving to FaZe Clan, it's full of sort of stars from all over the world, but they're sort of like, I'm sure you could think of a comparable sports team where you have all the talent you could possibly need on the squad, and yet you're tactically insufficient, or you're not getting the right coaching, or your map pool, or the egos, or whatever. It's just not fitting. And FaZe has disappointed really since the E-League Major in 2018. They've just failed to put it all together and show what they're capable of. So even Coldzera hasn't been announced formally yet. He could end up being in New York for this tournament. I don't know the specifics. If he does, I'm expecting the FaZe number. It's kind of like sitting around like 2.8 to 3.0 right now. I'm expecting money to go in on FaZe with the hype of Coldzera joining. So even though I've already taken NRG, if we see superior numbers come in on NRG as the Coldzera rumor becomes settled, I would be willing to double up on the NRG money line here if it goes up to like a 1.5, 1.6, because just because a talented player joins a new roster, you still need to know where he's playing. He still needs to know the strats. The communication needs to be on point. There's just so much in professional Counter-Strike now that you cannot throw even the most talented players in the world into a team and expect them to win tournaments. And NRG is a class team. They've beat FaZe before. So I already see there's value on that. If FaZe gets Coldzera on the roster by this weekend, I'm still going to join NRG, and I'm feeling good about that. And yeah, so that sort of covers the opening day match bets.
Okay, and if you was just to select maybe the top 4 ones, just to like narrow it down, rather than having too much exposure on day one, give me the 4 that you went for.
Yeah, so as I've mentioned before, I do high volume betting. I try to maximize lines, which includes both the whole series and individual maps. But I understand that lots of bettors just, they want, a few bets to follow along, or just to sort of not have, 10% of their bankroll down. And I understand that completely. So if you want a wager for each series, what I recommend going with is Ents money line for Ents versus G2.
Oh, do you know what price? That's at 1.66, yeah?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
1.66. It's sitting around 1.60 to 1.66 kind of across the board. I would take Liquid on their own map pick. Now, remember, I've said this before. Once the maps are released, you will see the 5.5 that we currently get on Liquid's map pick. It'll move to a 6.5, maybe even a 7.5 if it's drastic enough at your book. But if you want to, that would be sort of the pick I would go with for that series. For the Astralis versus Optic, I would take the -1.5 at 1.5 at Bet365. Again, maybe the reason I would take that over doing what we did with Liquid is maybe Optic has the skill to win a couple pistol rounds and get a backdoor cover. So taking Astralis just to close out 2-0 would be more highly probable. And finally, for the NRG, taking them to 2-0. Now, for that one, you might want to hold off if you haven't already placed it and wait to see if Cold Zero joins and if you can get a better price on the money line. So those are my four, I guess. You can call them best bets, but I'm putting the same amount of units down on those as the others.
Okay, Ad, listen, that is absolutely... I like that system as it goes. I say nothing, you do all the work, and then I say thank you. But the other thing is, I look and see the Silver Fern behind you. I hope you had a bit of the 2.5. Absolute knockers to win another World Cup for me in Japan. We're obviously talking about New Zealand. Did you have a bit of the 2.5?
No, I didn't take any of the outrights, but Eric, Oblivion Sports, the racing guy, we've been betting every match since the opening day, and I am up 20 units flat betting 1 unit stakes. So it has been a riot. I love waking up and starting my days that way. You can also, I'm not a rugby tipster. I've been betting it since the 2011 World Cup though. So you can always check to see what I'm on or Eric's on, or read Russ's articles. We've been checking in to see what he's on as well with those. So yeah, we'll be following along, Flash.
Well, I wouldn't go any further than the Kiwis. The All Blacks, they are the governors, and it'll be a travesty if they're not lifting another World Cup. Ad, listen, love your work, mate. Come on, Team Liquid. Good luck with all your bets, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, buddy. See ya.
Good luck, mate. Good luck. So that's Adam covering esports in New York. So it's on this side of the pond now. They've been to Moscow, they've been to Berlin. Now it's up to Team Liquid to finally win on home turf. Prior to that, the Alfred Dunhill Links played over 3 courses. St Andrews, Carnoustie, Kings Barnes. Have a look at the weather. Make sure you're not playing one of them tough courses on the bad weather day. And prior to that, Ross Yersh telling you Italy to cover against Canada. Tomorrow, Bundesliga and UFC with the governors, Dave Betts and at Jason at Sports Keg. Till then, I'll see you soon. Take care.